What is up, guys? This is Mark from dbs-decks.com, and I'm bringing you another deck profile video, and today it is another Galactic deck, but this time it is Galactic Mom. And I know the last time I did a video, we had the Galactic Namekians deck, and I've kind of been on this kick with the Galactic Emperor Frieza leader lately, just because the leader lets us do things that are not really prohibitive, like we can use Cold Bloodlust, for example. That is a card that a lot of people, I think, forgot existed, and is still very relevant and can help us get out of a lot of sticky situations, and your opponent just does not expect that card to happen anymore. So in a lot of games, when you just drop a Cold Bloodlust, you're like, well, that's a thing, and then they're caught off guard by the elements of surprise, which is a lot of what this deck actually does, is the element of shock and awe, because a lot of opponents just don't know what's going on. So the Galactic Emperor Frieza leader, like we discussed last time, is a leader that just gives us great advantage by being able to put our battle cards back to active mode at the end of turn. You can do 1 on the front side, 2 on the back side, and it's really good for cards like Dependable Mom Bulma, Intensifying Power Trunks, Carry Mother Videl, a lot of our weaker stuff that we don't really want attacked early on in the game. So Dependable Mom Bulma and Carry Mother Videl have the same exact effect. It is rest this card, target a battle card, it gets plus 5,000 power, and then you draw a card. So that's one of the key pieces to the engine that lets us kind of get our hand advantage up really quickly, and makes life very difficult for your opponent because you start outdrawing them very fast. Intensifying Power Trunks is also in here just because it's a standard red 1-drop right now. It pretty much has replaced Saiyan Kaba. It's attack, get your card from your life, get critical, plus 10k. There's nothing really bad about that, and paired with Bulma or Videl at some later turn just makes it even a worse threat for your opponent to have to deal with, and then you can just switch it to active mode at the end of the turn. There's no loss there. It's so good. Then you see that we have burst attacks on Gohan. Now, I know in Cody's video when he talked about this deck, he chose the ability Unleashed Ultimate Gohan, but I kind of went against that because I feel like this card is better in most circumstances, mainly because it has critical, but also you don't have to option for the draw. It just lets you draw 2 if you're at 4 or less in your hand. So you don't really, lose anything. Plus, critical is a lot stronger of an ability right now, I think, rather than having double strike, where hand advantage is kind of the game that we're playing right now. Chant Attack Trunks is the obvious red in here as well. That allows us to get things like Burst Attack out, allows us to get things like Explosive Spirit Son Goku out, or Source of Power Son Goku, or even Zeno, which is what its main purpose is. But it lets us basically get pieces of our deck that we need out to either extend the aggressive play or to reset the board and kind of give ourselves a break from what was already going on. Foreseen Hit, again, has been making waves everywhere. If you're not playing this card in red, then there's probably an issue with your deck, or you just don't have them. Either way, Foreseen Hit needs to be played at least 3 or 4, but I like 3 because you don't want to see it more often than you need to. It's got double strike, and then when you play it, it takes 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, really cripples their hand. It's just a really strong card that you need to have. Now, Jiren was put in this deck as well. I kind of see why it's in here. I didn't agree with it at first, but then I started tinkering around with it. I'm like, okay, I can deal with Jiren. It'll be fine. He hasn't seen play for a while either, but he comes out, deals with big cards that we do see a lot of now that usually stay in active mode, and we have to deal with one way or another. So Jiren is excellent for that source. And then Pride and Justice Topo is the obvious negate, but also helps clear the board really quickly because you can definitely pump him up with Carrying Mother Videl and Dependable Mom Bulma very quickly, make him a 30k, and just sit there and keep, swinging and attacking at your opponent's field. And if they don't protect anything, or they don't want to protect anything because they don't want to lose their hand advantage, then you're just going to, help wipe their board very fast. And then we mentioned Zeno as the necessary evil for Chant Attack. We've already talked about Carrying Mother Videl. So then we're going to move over here to the super combos, and the super combos are important in this situation because we could have gone 3 deep into Unwavering Solidarity Shugesh, but because we're not seeing Cronoa doesn't mean that nobody plays it, so I didn't want to run that risk of playing 3 and then not having to really get advantage later on and just losing a card for 10k. Instead, I went 2 and 2, so that way if we do get Cronoa, we're only losing out on 2 and we can still get the draw off of the Pure Hearted Son Goku drop. Then we have 2 Explosive Spirit Son Goku, which again can be played with Chain Attack, or it can be played with Unwavering Solidarity Shugesh. Either way, the card's really strong if you even hard cast it, because it just gets rid of one of their big threats that you don't want to have to deal with up front. And he's also got barrier, and he's got blocker, and he can ready himself at the end phase. So he's just really good overall as a card. Hasn't seen some play, but we're letting him make his way back into play with this deck in this video. Source of Power Son Goku is our Self-Awakener. Does the same thing as Digging Deep Vegeta, but also just kind of helps you get that advantage as well, because he can attack twice if you use the ability, which is take up to 2 cards from your life, add it to your hand, gets plus 5k, and then readies himself, and then you can do that once a turn. Dimensional Banisher Fu is the Overrealm with the 1-drop on him, is just awesome. Like, double strike and then the ability to spot remove for 1 is just a really strong battle card right now. I see this card played a lot, but I also see Scientist Fu played a lot. I feel like in most situations that this card is better just because spot removal is so important right now, but the argument can be made the same for if you need more hand advantage. So I can see it going both ways, but at the end of the day, I still prefer Dimensional Banisher Fu over Scientist Fu, because I'd rather get rid of a threat rather than get more things to potentially, dig deeper into my deck. Plus, I'm already drawing enough cards as is, so Dimensional Banisher Fu is probably the right call here. And then we go 2 and 2 on Cold Bloodlust and Crush Ball in the extra cards. And Cold Bloodlust and Crush Ball are played based on, how you want to deal with things on your field. If it's a threat that you can easily just deal with by attacking it, Crusher Ball it, or if you have an Explosive Spirit for them on next turn. Or if it's something that you can deal with straight up and you just don't want to have them activate their ability, Cold Bloodlust is your option there, and that's for good things, especially like the Cell Chain. And then we obviously have the Flying Nimbus for the negates and Planet Vegeta for the search. But otherwise, that is the deck. The engine is very simple. I hope I gave a decent explanation of it. If anybody's confused on anything, let me know in the comments and I'll address them. But overall, it's just play the mobs, use them to gain card advantage, and then slowly pick at your opponent's life and then will them down until you can actually drop big stuff on board and then just overpower them for game. It's a really good deck, and I had a long discussion with Pat O'Neill about it on one of my live streams the other night, and we both share the same opinion now that if it's in the right hands and it's at a tournament that people aren't expecting it at, it could potentially take down the tournament. I mean, honestly, if it had a little bit more oomph or SS3 wasn't there, you would probably see decks like this be in, major competitive play right now, because the engine is just so solid. It's such a good engine. So I encourage people to try this deck out. Let me know what you guys think. Again, any comments or questions or clarifications needed, please post them below. Otherwise, thank you so much for the people who submitted things for the Deck Doctor episode, and I'm sure Cody will be getting a new Deck Doctor episode out to you shortly. So otherwise, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.